The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business. From $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters in Real Estate Marketing, REALTOR SEO.
Welcome to the Icons of Real Estate. I'm Tim Calloway. We have a very special guest for you today from Scottsdale, Arizona, Kelly Cook. Kelly, how are you?
Good, Tim. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Hey, man, you're in my old neck of the woods out there in Arizona, so it's nice to talk to someone from the state of Arizona. Wonderful state. If the listeners haven't been there or had the opportunity to visit, I'm sure Kelly could tell you all about it and tell you how great it is. So I'll start with where I always start, Kelly, and most of my listeners know, I got to know, were you, I know your background and you've had a lot of success, especially in the athletic arena when you were younger, but tell me how everything started. I mean, were you tugging on your dad's pant leg when you were a kid going, hey, Pops, I want to play football. And, if I decide to make a change from there, I'm going to pivot to real estate.
No, that was not the case. I mean, I grew up really humble beginnings in Omaha, Nebraska. Really, if you look at a map, it's the middle of the country.
Yeah.
North, south, east, west. It's like right in the middle. It was great in many different ways. I would trade it for the world, but certainly we had a lot to overcome. Parents got divorced at a young age when I was 7, and mom didn't have she had a high school education. That was it, and then parents got divorced, and so times were actually pretty challenging, pretty tough, but sports was an outlet, right? It was one thing that I really enjoyed that I got to do outside. We lived in apartments most of our life and that kind of thing, right? So sometimes they didn't have a yard, right? But you go find something to do somewhere, and that became the outlet. And so I love the sports athletic realm because of that. And I'll be honest with you, I played football at a later age. I didn't honestly start football till freshman year in high school. Oh, wow. And the reason why is because, truth be told, is because we didn't have health insurance, and my parents, wouldn't let me play because you can get hurt, right? And sure. Then what's gonna happen, right? And so, but I played everything else pretty much, right, to an extent. And then I got a chance to play because I was like, no, I'm in high school now. I'm just gonna play. I don't care what you say, right? That kind of thing. And did and loved it, and it became my passion. And to this day, it still kind of is, right? On the athletic side. It's the one sport that literally represents life, and in my opinion, the best, has the most correlations because you literally get knocked down. Right now, how are you going to choose to get back up? Right? You have all kinds of adversity. There's always someone that's going to be bigger, faster, and stronger. Just like in business, just like in real estate, just like in life. And so, how are you going to work to be a better version of yourself when that happens? And also to the team aspect, right? You have a team and you have guys that are really large, you have guys that are really small, fast, slow, it doesn't matter. Yet they all play an important role as a team. And running a real estate team, and I know that obviously there can be a lot more achieved by being on a team, right? Than out there in your own silo. So there's my 2 cents there for that.
No, I think that's great, man. That was a great analogy, especially coming off. Well, I'm going to make some people angry right now. Especially coming off the World Cup where I watch guys get knocked down and not get up for 15 minutes.
It's the worst. It's the worst. Oh,
I'm like, dude, we over here, we get knocked down by 350-pound men that clobber us. Having come from a football background myself, not at the college level, but at high school level, and coached football myself at the high school level. Hey, you spend that much time on the ground, you're getting carted. You're going to get carted off. So I get it. It's part of the gamemanship over there.
Right.
But man, they wonder why Americans don't watch so much. That is so aggravating.
Yeah. You watch the replay and it's like the guy didn't even get touched.
Didn't get touched.
But he's rolling around, and then, it's just, oh my goodness.
And then when they figure out they're not going to get the penalty, or the guy doesn't get carded or whatever, the yellow card, they jump up and they're fine.
Oh, no problem. Like, he's good to go.
Tell you, man, if it was that painful that you had to roll around and writhe and scream, that's not how the human body works.
That's right. Yeah,
You
no,
know,
and they had this magical spray, right? That that,
right,
that, that looks like yeah, and then you spray it on your shin,
right.
and all of a sudden you're good. I don't know what that is, but we need some of that over
Well,
here.
it's well, I have a name for it, but I could not say it on this podcast. It's called something be gone, pansy be gone. I don't know, but I'm sure I've just really ticked off a lot of people, but that's okay.
We'll convert them to football.
You think there'll be another, as large as the valley's growing? You think there'll ever be a second pro team in your area?
On the football side,
Yeah,
I
no,
doubt it. I doubt it.
yeah,
I mean, that'd be really cool. We could use
right,
one. We could use one. We're
sure.
not doing so hot, but yeah, no, I
Glendale,
doubt it.
yeah, Glendale's just so far away.
Yeah,
On the outskirts. I can't imagine people in Scottsdale driving all the way across the valley, to go see a game. I guess they do.
they
Um,
do. I mean,
yeah,
football's okay because it's like 7, 8, 9 games, whatever, 10
yeah,
preseason,
right,
a year. So it's a day event and whatnot. But hockey got completely pounded. The Coyotes
yeah,
got pounded because of that situation. So that's why
right.
they have now moved and they have actually just got approved in
Oh,
Tempe,
okay.
Arizona, a brand new arena district in Tempe for
Oh,
the
wow.
Phoenix Coyotes. Yeah, so that'll be great for them because it's a centralized location. I mean, you don't want to drive
No,
Queen Creek an hour and 10
no,
minutes to the stadium on a Tuesday night, right?
right,
So that's tough.
right. Yeah, that is tough. Well, that's great to hear. What part of Tempe is it? Well, I know the
North,
area and others don't, so it's unfair, to listeners, but go ahead.
yeah, no, it's the north side of Tempe, actually, by the
Okay.
Papago area, and it's going to
Yeah.
be it's actually pretty close to Sky Harbor. In fact, that was
Oh,
one of the things they
nice.
had to get over because there's some old, archaic laws that were in the books in terms of flights and planes, that kind of stuff, right? They had to kind of modify a little bit to make this work for this plot of land. So it currently is being built or will be built on a old landfill site. So they got to
Oh,
modify the
wow.
land and make sure all that's cleaned up first on the
Yeah,
testing of the soil first. But
yeah,
just got approved like a couple of weeks ago. So
yeah. That's fantastic. Anybody listening that's thinking about moving to, the Phoenix area, Scottsdale, Tempe, Mesa, whatever it may be, man, I gotta tell you, it is, as far as planning goes, I really like it. I really like, and I know, if you live there, you might say something different or whatever it might be. But there's a reason so many people move to that area. One, in general, and two, for retirement, because for being out in the desert, supposedly, you really have a lot to do. You
yeah.
know,
Well, and also too, what's great about it is like I feel like Phoenix is one of those major metropolitan areas where if you're going to relocate to Phoenix,
Mhm.
a lot of times when you do that, relocate to another city, you may want to rent for a year
Yeah,
to figure the
sure.
place out and everything,
Right.
traffic flow. I just Phoenix is one of those unique things because it's built on most of it's built on a grid
Agreed.
system
Sure.
that and loops on the interstates that you don't really need that much time to figure it out.
Yeah.
You could literally come in and spend a couple of weekends driving around with a realtor, someone knows the valley a little bit, and you could feel pretty comfortable. Most people buying a spot right out of the gate, right?
Yeah.
Not waste that rental money for a year.
For sure. When I moved out there, the first time I actually moved to Mesa, and before coming back to move to Vail, southeast of Tucson. But man, talk about being on a grid and easy to get around. I mean, it was literally. I live in a place now where it's kind of gridlock. West Palm Beach, we have two highways total for 10 million people to share. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous
it's tough.
from down here all the way down to Miami up to Orlando. But it is laid out well, and in the I think the Sky Harbor is placed perfectly for everybody to have easy access to. And man, if you can live in Scottsdale, and you know what I mean by saying if you can live in Scottsdale, if you
Yeah.
can live in Scottsdale, beautiful, wonderful place to live. And the other cities are great. Don't get me wrong, but man, Scottsdale. Talk about that a little bit. Talk about what's going on in Scottsdale and what it has to offer, if you can.
Yeah, I mean, it really does. Scottsdale, from a geographical standpoint, is very north and south, very, very long, fairly skinny. There's some width to it in the middle of the city, but in terms of city limits, but it's landlocked, right? You have
Right.
all these suburbs, Phoenix. You have some of the suburbs that are surrounding Scottsdale, and then you have the Salt River Maricopa Indian Tribe Reservation that's land that's protected, obviously. So that's on one side of it as well. So I think right about now, as we speak today, there's about 3 to 4% of land that is within the Scottsdale city borders that is privately held land that could be potentially developed, right? That's it. Like that's all that's left. So
Wow.
it makes the real estate in Scottsdale that's already pretty coveted even more so moving forward in the future. And, when it comes to, I mean, you have the Old Town Scottsdale area, right? In the south part of Scottsdale. which
Right.
is, that's like an entertainment hub, right? It is such a cool place for entertainment, fine, world-class shopping, dining. And when you say that, it really is, and entertainment. And then you have Central Scottsdale, which is also very, very cool. And then you have obviously North Scottsdale, which is more discreet. A lot of the Sonoran Desert is protected up there.
Sure.
Kind of like a dark sky community a little bit, North Scottsdale. So really cool from that standpoint. The overall real estate in Scottsdale is just a really, really cool place to be. It's a lot of golf courses, like I should say world renowned, but nationally renowned golf courses,
sure.
right? So a lot of fun with that too, and hiking, biking, a lot of outdoor activity.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, it's a beautiful area. I encourage anyone who's even remotely thinking about it, take a flight out there and enjoy it So, let's talk about a little your team, Kelly. I mean, let's talk about, we've talked about kind of how you got started. Obviously, nice plugs for Scottsdale and the surrounding area. Let's talk about your team. Did you start when you started in real estate? Well, let's back up a little further. Let's talk about that transition from, I believe you went into coaching in Nebraska and then Ole Miss, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken.
Yeah.
And then what prompted you to make that transition into real estate, and decide, hey, now it's time?
Yeah, that's a great story, Tim. I'll land the plane here, guys. It's fairly quick. So I always wanted to be a college coach. That's what I wanted to do, right? If I could have played in the NFL, I would have done that. I had 2 reconstructive knee surgeries coming out of college, and even then, my talent level was just not good enough, right? Let's just be honest, right? Those guys are elite that make that level, right?
Trust me, Kelly, you are elite for making it to that level. Don't ever say you're not.
Well, thank you, but man, those guys, they're a different level.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So I realized that wasn't going to happen, right? In terms of the playing aspect. So what's the next best thing? Well, I think I want to coach, right? That I can stay close to the game, and I just enjoy it, right? Kind of like a coach at heart type deal.
Yeah.
And so I got an opportunity to be a graduate assistant coach at Nebraska in 2003. And then Frank Soliter, head coach, who later on became the all-time winningest coach in MAC conference history at Ohio University, he got fired. We were 10-3 in Nebraska in 2003, and he got fired. So when he's fired, if those of you don't know, the whole staff is fired.
Yeah.
The new coach will retain maybe one guy for transitional purposes. That's about it. So I had my exit interview with Bill Callahan, who came in from the Oakland Raiders like everyone else did, and he had his own guys. So that was it. So the next year, there were 7 Division I on the field coaching jobs available. That's it. I got one of them at Ole Miss. Went to the SEC conference, and that was a great experience, right? Going down there and checking that out, obviously. But David Cutcliffe, who became he was already a great coach, but he did really well with the Duke program after that, after Ole Miss. He's like the Manning brothers, guru, quarterbacks coach and everything. Well, he goes 4-7 a year after being named by the Associated Press, the SEC Coach of the Year.
Right.
4-7 with lost Eli Manning, and they fired him. So I'm like, man, in most professions, I was 2 years in, 2 firings, and I figured in most professions, if you chose to work 95 hours a week, you'd probably be pretty successful.
Yeah.
And in that one, you can get fired for it, which I did back-to-back years. So obviously I started questioning that right away. Played in the Fiesta Bowl in 1999, and now it's 2004. And I loved Arizona. I remember flying out here going, holy cow, people, it's December. I think it's Christmas Day. We flew out to the Fiesta Bowl, start practicing, and people were outside at Scottsdale Plaza Resort hitting tennis balls and, T-shirts. I'm like, what in the world's going on here, right?
Yeah.
So I always remembered it. Really, really great experience during that Fiesta Bowl trip. I had a sister at the time living out here. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take a year off of coaching. This is because I was kind of sour to it, to be honest with you. It's really meant to be, I'll get back into it, take a year off. I'm going out to Scottsdale and just seeing how much I miss it. Maybe I'll try something else. Real estate was not in the plan at all. Honestly, at this point, I didn't know really much about real estate at all. So I go to Scottsdale, and all of a sudden I'm sitting there. It's January now of 2005. We didn't go to bowl game 04 at Ole Miss. We were 4-7. So I drove out to Arizona in December. And with very little, I owned very little. As a GA coach, I was making, check this out, Tim, making $800 a week.
Wow.
That's what I was making, working 95 hours a week.
Wow.
So it's that's how that's how you get into the game, though, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully you can pay your dues and become a running backs coach somewhere or whatever, right? So I'm sitting in my sister's house in January, and her she's renting a house at the time. Landlord comes in. It's probably like a random Tuesday at 1 o'clock or something. I'm unemployed, sitting there trying to figure out what I'm going to do. we're talking, real nice guy. He's changing the air filter or something. He goes, hey, what are you doing? I told him. I go, what do you do? He goes, I'm a real estate agent. I go, oh, and you own this house too? And he goes, yeah, I invest in real estate on that. I'm like, oh, wow, that's cool. And he goes, and we're talking, and I go, do you get paid well to do a real estate agent? He goes, well, it just depends. He goes, but let's just say last month I made $25,000. And I go, like, it stopped me in my tracks. Literally, I never forget. I was in the living room and I go, what? I go, you mean you made $25,000 last year? Because like how I grew up,
right?
My parents didn't make $25,000 a year. Like,
right.
Like, I mean, so this is mind blowing to me, right? I'm so naive. I'm sitting there going, like, so what do you do again? And he goes, yeah, I helped 5 people out last month. They all closed. I made about $5,000 on the deal each, whatever I made to him. I'm sitting there going, in 1 month, right? And he's like, yeah. So literally, he left, and he told me, like, go to the computer. I go to the desktop. It's 2004 or 5 now, excuse me. Go to the desktop, and I started Googling, how to do this. And so sure enough, I started right away. Like, that was it. Like, it was just literally a money thing. I didn't even know what it even entailed. And so there you go.
That's great though. That's a great story, man.
and truth be told, when I was sitting in Arizona, wondering what I was doing in my life before he walked in the door, obviously for a couple of weeks. This is like mid-January. I had a couple of good buddies playing in the NFL currently. And I figured, okay, well, if it's not going to be coaching, what's the next thing I can do that keeps me involved with sports? So I'm trying to hang on here, right? And I was like, how about an NFL agent, right? And so I had a couple of good buddies playing. They were represented by agents in the NFL. So I start calling them up. We're talking, and I called both their agents up, seeing if they had a job for me. None did, but one goes, you know what? You out in Arizona, there's a lot of recruits out there. There's a lot of training for combine. He's like, you can be a runner for me. I'm like, all right. So I started doing that. Now thinking my next full-time career is going to be an NFL agent. But then this real estate agent thing came about, and I found out what this was all about. I'm like, oh, this is very similar. You represent clients, you whatever. So I can maybe do this real estate thing to make a couple bucks, but I really want to be an NFL agent. So that's what I really was zoned in for. So I did the running thing really on the side because I didn't have a business, right? For a year or two. Then I went to Washington, DC, took my test, got my MBA, finished my MBA, and became a licensed NFL agent for 5 years while I was selling real estate. And it just so happened that one day I woke up with an epiphany. I represented several clients. It was awesome. It was the sexy title. It was all that, right? But it wasn't making any money, right? I was operating the red. I'm sitting there going, man, if I just applied that same passion I have for that now full time, I was doing real estate full time, but I wasn't like really applying myself as much as I could. And I'm just selling homes, even though it's not like what I thought I wanted to do. I could probably do pretty well. So anyways, I after 5 years of doing that on the side, I punted and just completely focused on real estate, 80 hours a week or whatever.
Sounds like it was the right choice. I'm pretty sure.
100%. It was
100%. Never look back, right? Yeah, that's awesome. Right. So let's take that and talk about your team a little bit. So you developed your skills enough in real estate to be the coach I think you always wanted to be, in real estate, and which is just as important as anything else. Talk about your team a little bit. Tell us about them. I know I've looked on the website and seen your team. How did that come about? I mean, did you start day one saying, "Hey, I need to build a group of 15 agents and or title reps or whoever," or was that a gradual process?
It was a gradual process. I was at the time I was at you can build a team in any brokerage, right? Any broker. But at the time I was with Prudential, which is now Berkshire across the country. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I need to build a team. I had my MBA, so I knew the whole business thing. And now I'm focused, solely on real estate. I got a hold of the MREA book, right, by Gary Keller, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, and it made a ton of sense to me. So I'm sitting there going, okay, this is the blueprint of how you do it in this industry. I just got to follow it. Well, I was trying to put a square peg through a round hole, right, so to speak, in the situation, because thinking, oh yeah, it doesn't matter. I can be at Berkshire or Prudential and make this work. And I could, but I couldn't, because the model, that they have is just different. It doesn't cap and whatever. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stop fighting it here and just move. So I moved over to Keller Williams and literally just decided to follow the MRA book as close as I could, because why success leaves clues and why reinvent the wheel. that's how I started. So I started gradually, like kind of like the book talks about, with different levels. You're on level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and so on and so forth, and try to follow that as much as I could. It's not ever going to be perfect, and it wasn't, but a lot of failure. If I had one regret, I would say I wish I would have started earlier. I wish I would have started with more fever and faster, so I could have failed
Right.
faster and learned faster and
Sure.
grown faster. So that's one tip for anybody else out there listening for that. If you're scared, you just got to jump in the cold plunge, deep end pool with everything you got, right? And just
Right.
commit. And I was kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out for a while, that kind of thing. And then, trying, and you want to not be negligent with your expenses and your revenue, but you definitely need to commit, I think, all in if you're going to do it. So that's how it started. And then, then built a team over time, and then added the pieces that were missing. And then I really got serious on systems, multiple 5-6 years ago, I should say, really got serious about it, documenting them, replication, duplication, scalability. And that's what helped me take it really to the next level, where we have, over 25 agents and
Nice.
several staff. And then we just made the move recently over to Real Broker from Keller Williams, and that's been awesome too. That was about 2 months ago. So yeah, that's the involvement now over time.
Very nice. Yeah, I like it. Good story. So let's talk about the future. I mean, we've talked about how you got started, talked about Scottsdale, talked about your team. What is the next one? Or, let's put on our prognostication hats. You sound like a guy that, was at one point the seat of his pants guy, and now you're putting processes and plans into place like a coach should, right?
Yep.
So what does the next 1, 3, and 5 years look like for you?
I'm really big on investing, right? And education around that. I just really think that my passion, my goal is that anyone that comes into my world, I want to try to help give back to them, not just to help build their real estate business and their sales career, but have more of a lasting impact, right? And to do that, you do have to have a system in place and be disciplined to it to an extent to be able to invest. And there's no better investment vehicle for someone who's actually in real estate than real estate. You actually know what you're selling, you know what you're buying. That's a big part of the future here in terms of helping other people on our team become more financially, independent
Nice.
through building wealth through real estate. And then also too, that's one of the reasons we moved to the Real Broker, to be honest with you, is because the platform of the Real Broker allows agents to be paid and to build some wealth in different ways, right? Because it's a publicly traded company. So through stock and equity in the company and through revenue share, by just being a good agent, you're going to naturally attract probably other agents who want to, be around you and that sort of thing. And if that happens, then there's ways you can be compensated that way too. So too often it's January 2nd and you're starting over again, and it's like, oh, right. Well, if you had other streams to help supplement when you do maybe have a not so great month or two, right, that would be really, really beneficial. So my goal next 1 to 3 years is to really grind on plugging into that model, building our team as continuing to grow our team and build our team as best as possible, and provide that opportunity to other people that are looking to also grow a team. My passion, Tim, is to be able to allow an agent to build a team if that's what they want to do without having to leave our team.
There you go. Yeah.
It's not a model where you come on a team and now we just, put you in the corner and say, just fit in this box. And if you pay for that box, then sorry, right? No. Like, grow you. And then the onus becomes on me. John Maxwell right here, his book calls it the law of the lid, right? I have to raise my lid and always be raising my lid continuously enough to be able to let someone else's high achievement lid be able to grow and expand under my lid. Because if I don't, then they'll bump against it and they'll leave. So to grow people up, to be good leaders, to be good business people, to have options, and then the tides turn. And now, how do I provide a value enough to you to stay? That's really the passion.
Fantastic. Well, Kelly, how would someone get in touch with you if they're either leaving, looking to move into the area, or they're leaving, want to list their home? How would they get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. You can call my cell phone. I'm a open book. Text messaging is probably the best thing, right? And that's 480-227-2028, or email simply at info@cookandassociatesaz.com.
Perfect. Well, I always like, we're kind of winding down here, and I always like to let the guest, it's kind of like I'm just the DJ and you're the hit record, kind of take us out, give us some words of wisdom, whatever's on your mind, your heart, your soul. It could be about business. It could be about your family. It could be about football, whatever you see fit that you want to kind of share with the listening audience, and take us out.
Boy, that's a good question. I could go a lot of different ways, Tim. I guess I'll say this: 10 years, for example, anyone can reinvent themselves in any industry, especially real estate, because of the cycle of real estate that naturally occurs since the beginning of time. Anyone can reinvent themselves in 10 years. So I would say that 10 years is going to pass, whether you like it or not. It's gonna pass, and it's gonna be here. The year 20, crazy sounds, the year 2032, right, is going to be here. No matter what you do,
Right.
or whatever you complain, you get mad, it doesn't matter. It's going to be here. So no matter if you're 49, 29, or even 69, it's never too late to start, right? So if you have a goal, if you have a passion to do something, whether it be financial stability, more better financial stability, whether it be building a business, whether it be building a database of awesome clients, create a plan right now. Don't just like say, okay, that's the one thing I want to do, so I'm just going to go do it right now, right? Don't do that. But start creating the plan. The first step, start creating that plan to achieve that goal and get it done. Because 10 years is going to, Tim, I'm 43. Back when I was like, graduating college, right? Starting my career. When I first started real estate, I've been doing 17 years. I couldn't imagine back then me being 43. Like 43 was like kind of old, right? Like,
Right.
and I'm 43. And so
it just happens.
It just happens, right? So don't just float through life. Create a plan of some goal you want to achieve. I don't care. Maybe it's when you take a trip to Europe, right?
Yeah.
Then that's what me and my wife did, years ago. We said we're going to do that, and so we just did it. Now it took a year to get there, and so but it allowed us to plan and do it the right way and actually achieve that goal, right? And anyone can do that, no matter where you're at in any stage of life today.
Great sage advice, Kelly. I really appreciate it. Appreciate you being on the show. Kelly Cook and Associates, Scottsdale, Arizona, beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona. Kelly, I look forward to catching up with you over the next 3, 6, 9 months, see how things are going. And even maybe the next time I'm out there, as a matter of fact, one of my sons are there right now. Yeah, visiting. It's one of those yearly deals this time of year, visiting. So we're out there from time to time. Definitely like the opportunity to look you up and maybe share some time with you.
Totally. That'd be great, Tim.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kelly. Have a great holiday as well.
Yeah. Merry Christmas to you and everybody else
Merry
out there.
Christmas.
Absolutely.
Talk to you soon.